Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions Podcast Network.
Cambridge and Rashawn is a Weirding Way Media podcast. Welcome to episode 25 of Cambridge and Washawn, a podcast by 2 weird fellas about the weird stuff that they like. I'm Mark Bigley. I also host Wake Up Heavy on occasion and the Chasing Chevy podcast. And I am here, as always, with
Ronnie!
Yay!
Or Skelevator on YouTube and Instagram. I'm excited. This is, maybe you want to say it, but this is a big one.
That's what she said. We'll get into it, what we're doing today and all that stuff. So it's 2025 now. We haven't met for 2 months, yet we somehow managed to get 3 episodes out. Well, not 3, 2. I split the holiday episode up for you folks so you wouldn't be overwhelmed on Christmas Eve with a 2-hour episode.
That's because we recorded for 8 hours straight. And I think that was enough for both of us to last us for 2 months.
Yeah, and we didn't necessarily state it explicitly that we wouldn't have a January episode, but with 2 episodes, 3 technically, in December, it made sense, and that's what we did last year. And Speaking of that, we are 2 years deep into this already, which is kind of hard to believe. So we're starting our 3rd season. This is the first episode of the 3rd season.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate that this time.
Yes,
we'll get into that celebration of 2 years of weird in a little bit, but I've got some updates. I think we're going to talk about, since we had that limbo period there where we go through all the stuff we got during the year, but it's November when we do that. The holiday comes around. We're both going to get stuff during the holiday time, either from other people or for ourselves. I figured we could throw that stuff into this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe lighten the load for the holiday episode, which I have some thoughts about. So maybe we'll get into that at the end of the episode, either on or off podcast. I'll throw some thoughts your way, and maybe we'll bring it up for the audience to decide on.
Yeah.
I'll tease you with that.
I'm into new ideas.
So do you have any corrections or additions from one of the 3 episodes that we released in December?
No corrections. The only slight update I have is, you might say a similar thing, I don't know, but afterward I was like, there were numerous other items that I didn't talk about, but that we had touched on in previous episodes. So we covered the bases, but that was a lot of fun. And looking back on the year was revelatory in many ways, especially as I was putting some objects in a plastic container to put away in the closet and rearranging things when the new year hit. I was like, okay, there's a lot of new objects behind me. So that was fun. Yeah. No real corrections or anything, though.
I'm surprised that you left stuff out after I harangued you endlessly on that episode about having enough stuff to talk about.
I don't know about you. I'm constantly reminded of things I should be remembering constantly these days. I should have known this thing yesterday and I remember it today, that type of scenario. That's always happening now that I'm at my age that I am.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
You've known me long enough to know that that's pretty much part of my personality and has been since my 20s, so.
I'm going to suggest yet again that you make a fucking list.
Which I did today, so we're in good shape.
I left out one quote-unquote important thing about the Mr. Bill calendar when I brought that up. I had wanted to mention, as these things go with calendars, I will be able to reuse it. Not reuse it, I haven't used it yet. I will be able to use it in 2027. 1982 matches with 2027.
Oh, that's great.
And I got curious about that because I knew that happened. Like, I see auctions for Marvel calendars and stuff sometimes. And it's like, can be used again this year. And I always wondered what the calculation was for that. And apparently it's depending on whether there's a leap year or not. It's generally every 6 or 11 years you can reuse a calendar. So it might be 6 years and then another 6 years and then 11 years and then 6 years and then 6 years and so on. So yeah, in a couple of years I'll be able...
You got to hang that calendar up right there behind you.
I will when it's 2027 if we make
2027,
it. Yeah, I said 2027 earlier. I guess you didn't catch that.
No, I didn't.
And then I made an omission. I didn't mean to. I left out my Mayor McCheese that you got me. I mentioned the Oscar the Grouch and the Little People stuff that we found on that trip, but you had given that to me as well. My little Mayor McCheese product pal.
We left out both of our Mayor McCheeses.
Well, you left out a lot of stuff apparently, so.
Yeah. Well, apparently you did too.
Yeah. One thing.
One thing.
And then I had a question, and I doubt you'll remember this. At some point, we were talking about blue things, and you made an excited gasp, and we never got back around to what you thought I was going to be talking about.
That's right. My brain went to the Sesame Street finger puppets, and I went to, for some reason, I was just imagining that there was a Cookie Monster or Grover as part of that, because I knew you had gotten those. I knew you had gotten the finger puppets, but I wasn't sure if you had those. So I was thinking Blue Muppets were the first things that popped into my head.
Okay. Well, you did remember. I am surprised.
I'm okay sometimes with my memory. It surprises me too.
And then a little update on the Marvel Mego.
Oh, yeah.
Fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was even pre-December episodes. I think that was mentioned on our November episode. I brought it up because they had finally announced that Mego was making Marvel figures, cloth figures, kind of speculated on how that was all going to pan out. And I was going to mention it on one of the December episodes, and I didn't really have an update yet. So I didn't. So it came around. The price, I believe, came up before anything else, and it was stated that they were going to be $89.99 a set, which I think is a really good price for 4 8-inch, highly articulated, cloth accessoried figures. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. Then images of the set were released, so now everybody knew what the set consisted of, which I don't think anyone would have guessed. It certainly surprised me. So it ended up being Spider-Man, which was one of the first Marvel Mego figures.
Web spinning Spider-Man.
Web spinning Spider-Man with flyaway action pack and web spinning fluid by Mego.
And then 2 of his original Mego villains, Lizard and Green Goblin, and then an all-new figure of another villain, Electro. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of figured at that point, I'm not going to try and track this down. I have, as I have mentioned, 6 Spider-Man figures. One carded one, even. The only carded Mego figure I have. I have a Green Goblin. I have really no interest in the Lizard and 0 interest in Electro.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll just see how this pans out. And they got released in the Disney stores in Disneyland in Florida. In the stores that you don't have to go into the actual park to get. I guess there's...
I think it's called World of Disney or something like that. The big store that's outside.
It had something to do with the Avengers. So I don't know if they have a section that's...
Yeah.
In Disneyland, Disney World, I don't know. So they were released there, and then everybody was like, when are they going to be online? Blah, 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 complaining. I'm watching this on the Mego Museum message board, the complaints and everything. And then finally a date was given. They were going to release sometime early January, I believe. Or maybe it was after Christmas, I know that. And I was like, that's really stupid. They missed the Christmas shopping time.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to wake up and see how this plays out. And apparently, there's a lot of confusion about this, which frustrates and angers people. They sold out within a couple of minutes. I tried to put it in my cart and kept getting weird, that's not available anymore. And then at some point, it just completely disappeared. So a lot of people, again, lots of complaining from the fans, people saying, well, I got in. You just have to keep refreshing. So a lot of people thought that they had gotten them, and then hours later got cancellation emails from the Disney store. So you've got a whole nother round of angry people.
Boy, that has been an issue with Hasbro and with Mattel and with these exclusive figures that are a limited run. It really disappoints a lot of fans. I wish there was another way to do this and still make that item feel special, but I guess there's not. Maybe there's just too many toy collectors right now.
And I don't know what kind of numbers the physical stores, what kind of numbers the Disney store or Disney online. And I don't know if they're still going to go out to the actual Disney stores.
Right.
Because I'm not really following it anymore. I'm curious to see what the next set is and if they do anything differently on the rollout.
We're just going to get a shit ton of them in Ross next year.
The scalpers were already having a go. Selling sets for $250 on eBay. Not very many people had any other choice unless you live in California or Florida or have a Disney shopper, which I guess exists. People that will go to the Disney stores and buy stuff for you.
That exists.
The other update that had been given was that out of the 20 figures, the 5 4-pack releases, I believe 12 of them are going to be new figures. Because they didn't make a lot of Marvel Megos even back in the day. I want to say there were only like 10. And so I'm curious to see how they play that out, because I doubt you'd get the full set of Fantastic Four, which they released. There were quite a few villains released, but I still think you're looking at the big characters like Iron Man and Hulk. I don't know what they would be paired with. I am very curious to see what they release. I don't know that I'll be getting any of them, but we'll see.
Was there ever a Mego thing?
Yes.
There was, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, because he had the cloth with the printed rock formations on the... That's right, I remember that.
Yeah, I will talk in depth about the Mego thing at some point.
To be honest with you, if they did a Fantastic Four set as one of these in the future, I might jump on that. That would be kind of great.
It is a possibility because they released all 4 figures.
Yeah, that would be great, actually.
It is definitely a possibility that they will do that.
Yeah. If they're setting the stage by saying, okay, each round of these 4 figures will be of a singular character's world, like Spider-Man, as we got those 3 villains, then it would make sense to do Fantastic Four.
When you put it that way, it makes sense. I guess my mind is thinking hero with villains.
Okay, yeah.
That wouldn't make sense because they didn't have any villains released for them. That actually makes more sense that they would just release them as a 4-pack, but you wouldn't get a new figure that way. So I hate to say it, but they could do that, leave Sue Storm out and add a Dr. Doom as the new figure because we never got a Dr. Doom. Sad to say that might be a possibility.
Or they'll split it and just do 2 waves of Fantastic Four and include 2 villains. Who would be the other villain?
Yeah.
besides Doctor Doom. I'm not educated enough in the Fantastic Four realm to know if there are any other villains, but I'm sure there are.
Oh, yeah, there
lots
are.
of crossover villains.
Yeah.
Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere.
He can breathe underwater and go flying through the air.
The noble submariner, prince of the deep, will be waiting any demon.
Lord Damer of Atlantis is the prince of the deep.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think the next one comes out sometime in the spring. I'm sure we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, we'll talk about it then. I do remember something I did want to mention from the holiday episodes. Because you brought up Mego, it reminded me of this. We were talking briefly about the NECA Bert and Ernie that are coming out. And I know that you have a hang up regarding like the clothing accessories, that the cloth clothing is not part of the NECA action figure and that the sculpted clothing was kind of bothering you a little bit. I don't know if I got a chance to really talk about the Palisades.
You did.
The importance for fans. I really wanted to emphasize, I know I mentioned Palisades. I wanted to really take some time and emphasize how disappointed fans of the Muppets Palisades figures were when they only did the Comic-Con Grover, and they lost the license before they were ever able to do the Sesame Street figures. And so for folks that do have some of those Palisades figures, it's like nice to have that consistency with the NECA figures. I wanted to add this. I think it would be amazing, because NECA has done figures like this, for them to do a separate set that did have the clothing being cloth, as opposed to just offering the Ultimates or whatever they're called.
I don't see them doing that. I mean, they might. They do crossover figures like that all the time. Friday the 13th video game Jason that I have is an 8-inch cloth figure, and I know that they have done a 7-inch.
They sure have.
All plastic version and other versions of him. I don't know that they're doing that much 8-inch stuff anymore, though.
Every once in a while, something will come out. I saw this Ghostface killer from Scream not too long ago.
Jessica Fletcher. They're doing
Jessica Fletcher.
One of each of those. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We shall see.
One other thing about the Mego, that $89.99 price point. I don't know if Florida has sales tax, but if you just take that figure and divide it by 4, each figure that comes in its own box. I mean, it's packaged in an overall box, a display box, but they come in their own box. Fully articulated, cloth accessoried figure comes out to about $22.50 a figure. A couple bucks more than the reaction figures. Just gonna keep hammering that horse, beating it, that dead horse.
It ain't dead yet.
It'll come up again, I'm sure.
It'll always come up, because that's part of the dilemma with the stuff. I mean, some of the reaction stuff is just phenomenal, and then some of it's okay, but it's always priced the same.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
And then there's imagination. A toy that's fueled by imagination can travel very far. Over the land, into the air, through the stars. That's child power. And we believe in it.
All right, so do you want to get into the stuff that you got in the taint of the year, that purgatory, limbo, time doesn't exist during the holidays, before the new year?
Yeah, I really do, actually. This kind of bleeds over a little bit to after the new year just because of shipping and stuff like that. But a friend of my YouTube channel, Alan Davies, found on Facebook Marketplace for a really good deal the Sesame Street playset. And I've been coveting that for a long time. And
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
so I finally got my hands on a Sesame Street Fisher-Price Little People playset that's in really good shape. There are a couple of broken plastic things that I just super glued, and they look like they're not broken anymore. But the stickers are beautiful. It's just awesome. So happy to have it. I just ordered the Little People Oscar the Grouch because it was missing Oscar. And my goal for next month is to get the Big Bird with the nest. And then I'm pretty much got a complete Sesame Street playset. And along with that, I'd been sort of scouring Ross for the Forlom and Zuckuss 2-pack. In that package with the Sesame Street playset, I also got the Forlom and Zuckuss 2-pack, which is the retro collection Star Wars figures. They are the names mixed up versions, right. So I'm keeping them mint on card just because in no way am I ever going to be able to afford vintage versions of that. And then something I haven't mentioned, or maybe I did, I don't think I have. I found some of Wave 2 of the little teeny tiny Simpsons figures. Did we talk about that?
Not Wave 2 yet.
So I found Krusty and Sideshow Bob. Was super excited about that. The $4.99 sized.
Yeah.
How about you?
I know that's not all you have, dude. I'll do some stuff.
What else?
I'll refresh your memory in a minute. I got a second, much better Mr. Bill Bindi. This is an old one. Stuff kept popping up because I had been looking. I got the calendar and had been looking at Christmas ornaments, Christmas cards or greeting cards and other things, and the iron-on t-shirt thing that I talked about. There are a couple of other figures that came out 90s, 80s, 90s, whatever. I'd seen this one before and wasn't sure if it was part of a set or just a separate Bindi. It's much smaller, but it's so much more accurate to the actual character. And his hair is sculpted so much better. It actually looks like a little bowl cut hairdo. The big one that I have, it looks like his hair has been greased back. And it's just much better size and dimensions. And he's got kind of broad shoulders, which the character always did. And because of the way he was made. And it was up for like $20-something. And I was like, no way. But I put it on my watch list. And I didn't get an offer, but whoever was selling it reduced the price more than 50% off. And so that alert came up and I just bought it. I did end up getting the Bob 1 Devo reaction figure because I had been sent a discount code from Super 7 as a super fan. And I'm like, I think I bought one thing from you guys directly last year, but whatever.
That's how they do it.
It was $10 off a $25 purchase. And I was like, well, that's a really good deal, actually. And I put him in my cart, and then I was trying to find something for $5 on there, and I couldn't. Like almost all the stuff that was their little muscle figures and any other blind box stuff, I was like, it was either sold out or, out of print or whatever. And so I couldn't find one little thing to put in there for $5. I asked Cleo, I said, well, is there anything on here you want? And I scrolled through a bunch of the different properties, licenses, and she's like, oh, get that Big Bird.
There you go.
I got the Big Bird basically for her.
Yeah.
And so that made the $20 figures $15 each, which is a much better deal. I mentioned sometime a while ago that I, for some reason, had this thought to get my little grandniece a Poppin' Fresh figure. And when everybody was over here for Thanksgiving, she was kind of having a fit and she was being changed. So I brought one of my Poppin' Freshes out for her to play with. And she took to it. And I was like, okay, well, now I feel good about this idea. And I thought, let's try and get a Poppy Fresh, his spouse or partner. And so I was looking at auctions, and there's a bunch on there. A lot of them are in really bad shape, and some are in decent shape. And I found a lot auction for one Poppin' Fresh and two Poppy Freshes. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect because I can keep one of the Poppy Freshes.
That's right.
It ended up being, $5 a figure or something, which is really cheap. So I got it, and they were grimier than I could tell from the pictures, and I cleaned them as good as I can. And I don't know if it was nicotine stains or just yellowing from age, but there was sort of an off smell too. And I was like, well, I have the newer Poppin' Fresh I can give her, and I'll keep this old Poppin' Fresh.
That makes sense.
And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of junky. I was looking at more auctions, like maybe I can find a better one for not much more. And I ended up finding I'm not going to say mint, but a in package in its original shrink wrap Poppy Fresh for $10.
That's awesome.
And so I jumped on that, and I'm like, well, I won't even have to clean this. It's in its original shrink wrap. It's not going to have any weird stains.
Heck yeah.
I will keep the package and the stand, because that's one thing about those figures is they don't stand up. But many of them came with stands. When they were sold like that in stores, they came with a stand. And so I did that. Of course, I ripped the damn box when I was kind of swapping out the figures. I'm like, oh, shoot. Just the top where her bonnet goes in, I tore it a little bit. But anyway, so now I have one Poppy Fresh, cleaned up as good as I could. It looks good in the package with a stand, with an original box, with some vintage Poppin' Freshes and my finger puppets and all that. And I have an extra Poppy Fresh that's yours.
Yay! I know, you told me and I got so excited.
Hi, I'm Poppin' Fresh, the Pillsbury Doughboy, and here's Poppin' Fresh news.
One other thing I got, this goes back to our Clovis Antique Mall adventure, and I had missed that Freakies magnet that I saw in the video. One day, Carlita forgot to take her work laptop to work, and she said, well, can I meet you somewhere, in between, because I had to take Cleo, my daughter, to school. I'm like, I'll just bring it to you. Then I thought, I'll be in Clovis.
That's right.
I'll just drive up Clovis Avenue and go to that place and see if it's still there. And it was. Had them open the case for me, and I'm like, please be less than $10. Please be less than $10. And it was, so I snagged it, brought it home, and cleaned it. And as I was cleaning it, I was rubbing the blue parts. It's Snorkel Dork character, for anybody that knows about them.
Snorkel Dork, they call me so handsome and pretty.
And it started turning gray. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But it was just like the deep, deep grime getting kind of smushed around. So I cleaned it off really well.
And it looks good.
I picked up, for some reason, a Smurf like figure.
Listen, I'm tempted by when you messaged me, you're like, I don't know why. I was like, well, because I'm tempted by Smurfs every single time I see them. There's just something about them. And I wasn't even a huge fan of Smurfs as a kid.
Me either.
The cartoon was fun, but there's just something about their little round blue bodies and their bellies and their hands and their faces. There's just something cute about them. I don't know.
There is. I don't think I've seen one since Toys R Us closed down. I'm pretty sure they had them there in their Schleich section, but anywhere else I see Schleich, they never have them.
Right.
I don't even know what prompted me to look it up on Amazon, but they have quite a few figures. They're like $5 or something. So I bought a handy Smurf.
Nice.
And I think at the same time, and this is what I was talking about with you, have more stuff, I had put the Marvel Legends Retro Hulk in my cart.
Yep.
Because it's $11, and I'm like, is Ronnie really that tight that he's not willing to buy this? He has to find it at Ross for $3.99. The fuck?
Yeah, I didn't include that because I got that from my wife for Christmas.
Right.
So
dude, what are you talking about? I'm gonna come over there. It's what you got. You don't have to have bought it yourself.
All right.
Oh my God, Ronnie, there are new rules to this.
I thought you were referring to the liminal space between Christmas and New Year's, because you said the taint of the
you got that
holiday
for Christmas
season. Huh?
You got that for Christmas.
I did. I got that for Christmas.
Yeah, that's between Christmas and New Year's.
Isn't that on Christmas?
Semantics, my man. This is stuff between the last time we recorded and today. I guess I need to be really specific.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff then.
Jesus Christ.
This is what Mark actually said.
All right, so do you want to get into the stuff that you got in the taint of the year, that purgatory, limbo, time doesn't exist during the holidays, before the new year? Once I saw you got that for Christmas, I took it immediately out of my cart, and I'm like, well, let me look for another retro. I'm not that interested in the Marvel stuff unless it's super simple and clean, and there was an Iron Man, and I'm like, okay, I'll get the Iron Man for me. I didn't get the Hulk because I've got the gray Hulk, and I don't need a green one. I don't like the face sculpt on the green one, actually.
Yeah, the Grey Hulk's face sculpt is very, very cool.
So I got an Iron Man for myself. You mentioned the Sesame Street Little People play set, and I'm cleaning out or moving, rearranging a big IKEA shelving unit that used to be in, I guess, I don't know what that room is, our den. It's mostly unused. Carlita has her work stuff set up in there, but it used to kind of be a catch-all for my junk. And now she wants it to be like a proper office for her. So I moved out the big shelving unit. Cleo and I went through all of our stuff, separated things out. And I found in a modern Little People playhouse that she had been handed down, my old Little People furniture. So there was a table, I believe, which the sticker was totally gone from, and then 2 of the little chairs. A brown one and a red one.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, I'm keeping those because I've got 2 cowboys. So my cowboys are sitting around the grill, which when I found that, it's in great shape. The sticker's perfect, beautiful. I'm like, oh my God. And every time I see a piece of furniture from those sets, it just like whoosh, hits me in the face, you know?
I'm with you on that completely. Like the opening up the box of the Sesame Street playset and that chair, just the chair. I don't know what it is about the utilitarian toys from the Fisher-Price playsets, but the chair just took me back.
Yeah.
It was a massive rush of nostalgia.
I sent you that clip of the A-frame.
Oh, God.
Which is just a gorgeous set. That is like top of the list for me, and they're ridiculously priced. If you watch the video, those little chase lounges.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous.
We had those too. We had bench, and I might go back and get the table from my sister. Took that stuff over to my sister's for my grandniece to have, because they were hand-me-downs from them anyway, so we're just returning it to them. But I might go steal that table just to have, even though it's messed up. Maybe I can get a reproduction sticker.
When you sent me that image, you reminded me the 4 of us were on a trip last summer to the San Jose area, and we stopped at a couple of antique stores, and one of the antique stores had the A-frame house for $45. I was like, nah. What is it about our brains that we can't predict the feelings we'll get in the future about something?
Yeah.
We passed on it, and even my wife was excited about that. And yeah, so I have a couple of Fisher-Price things that are on my list that we'll talk about later on today's episode. That's one of them.
Yeah, and I ran across, looking for Little People stuff on eBay, I remember seeing these in the past, and again, not having that interest yet, but Hallmark had a bunch of ornaments that are of the sets, and they're very, very accurate little sets.
I saw
There's
the
a plane.
parking garage and the airport, and I was like, oh my God.
The plane, the bus, now they're, they're Hallmark ornaments aren't cheap to begin with, but they're in the $40s and $50 range. And I'm like, nah, but they're really cool.
If you're not planning to isolate some space in your little area where you put your collected things for the full-size play sets, then spending $30 to $50 on a small version of it kind of makes sense, as opposed to paying $175 for the vintage play set. That was a really smart move on Hallmark's part, because I saw those and I immediately was excited by them. They are fantastic. And the detail on them are it's incredible.
Yeah, and there's also, I know the bus for one thing for sure, that world's smallest line, they did the bus at least. And that's kind of cool too, actually. And I remember seeing that in stores too and passing on it. Man, I'd probably buy it now if I saw it.
Yep.
Something that, I don't know if yours has shown up yet, but...
Not yet.
The people, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Really? It hasn't shown up yet?
No, we'll get into it.
The Wampa?
It's not here yet. It just entered the country, actually.
Oh, yeah. Wait, where are they shipping from?
From the Netherlands.
Oh, I thought he was U.S. Okay, that's interesting.
I've been tracking the tracking obsessively because I'm really excited about it. I was like, oh, wow, the shipping is expensive. What was the shipping on yours?
Well, okay, so for people that have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, let's go back.
There's a couple of, and I believe I've brought them up on the show, there are a couple of quote-unquote companies making retro-style Star Wars figures that didn't get made by Kenner and aren't being made by them now.
Yeah.
One is called Stan Solo Creations, who's based in the UK but has a US shop, 2 US online shops. So this will come up when I talk about the shipping. And then the Next 17, which I mistakenly thought was a US-based shop. It sounds like it's from the Netherlands. I thought that because their online shop just has US dollars on it.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, both make really cool stuff. I got the baby Banta from the Next 17, but I got it on eBay.
Yeah.
I wasn't clued in on the shipping thing. So I ordered from Stan Solo Creations one of their droids. He's made a number of droids. I usually miss them because I wasn't clued into this thing until recently. So I've missed all the ones that were previously made, and sometimes I miss the ones that are coming out now. A lot of cool figures, all factory made. So these aren't 3D printed, kind of junky fan made stuff, which are also cool. I mean, there are places that make that stuff too that are pretty neat. So I got a little R3M3 droid, and they're based on droids that make an appearance in one of the movies, and I don't remember which one this guy's in. Blue droid with blue stickers and a clear dome, and I got it because of the clear dome. And it's really well made. It's smaller than my vintage R2-D2.
Oh, interesting.
The legs are shorter, and I know that he has based his molds on the pop-up lightsaber version, so I don't know if that vintage version is smaller or if there's just been some shrinkage in the legs. But even the body looks like it might be a tad bit smaller than my OG R2-D2.
The R2 with the projectile lightsaber option has been on my list for a while. Maybe we can do a comparison someday.
And I've seen on Toy Ploy, to mention him again, he has fixed numerous droids of both varieties, and I've never noticed a size difference in those videos, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. You asked about the shipping, and it's weird because there's 2 shops, and I believe they're both authorized. One is an Etsy shop, and one is just an online shop that originate in the U.S. So they get, I think, figures from him to sell in the U.S. so that people can avoid the ridiculous shipping costs. And so I had put it in my cart in one, and the shipping was $15. And then I went to the Etsy shop, and it was $5. I went that route.
Yeah, mine was $15 because it was an international shipping. I didn't even think to try and find it elsewhere.
And mine wasn't international versus U.S. These were both U.S. shops. It's just that one had a ridiculous shipping price and the other one didn't. So use the Etsy shop for Stan Solo Creations if you're going to buy something. They all pretty much have the same stock.
So I got mine from the Next 17. I got the baby Wampa. Just entered the country, and I'm really excited about that. You got that, and I was super excited to explore. So Next 17 also has some of the Cantina characters. I'm super excited. I'm probably going to try and get one every once in a while because they're pricey, but they're like little art pieces.
They're pricey. Let's talk about price again. So the one I got was $43, I believe. And the Hermie that I was looking at, the Next 17, I believe was roughly the same price. And it makes sense. For one thing, both of these companies produce them in factories. Yet you know that they're producing maybe 50 of something. And obviously, like that Hermie figure that I sent to you has been redone multiple times. I know it's sold out and been restocked and sold out.
It's very popular.
To produce something in a factory in that short of run is very, very pricey.
Yeah.
That ain't what Super 7's doing, right? So I get a $40 price tag for something like this that one dude is doing out of love. This figure is very well made. The sticker looks great. It's applied perfectly. It's got the same little screw holding it together that the original does. That clear dome is beautiful. I get it. That makes sense to me if you're making 50 to 100 of, even if you're making 200 of something.
Did it come on a card back or just in the box?
You can get them on a card. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
You can get his figures on cards. But yeah, the next 17 kind of focuses on Cantina and Jabba.
Yeah.
Palace people, which is sort of a cool little niche. Alley. And then this guy does a lot of customization of figures like Luke, with the binoculars and a hat and poncho, stuff like that. A known figure, but in a different look or something that didn't get made by Kenner. Lots of droids. Greedo, that's more screen accurate, but is basically the same sculpt as the Kenner one. Things like that. So they're both exploring different aspects of that.
I love it. I love it when people are doing projects like this. It's amazing.
And the last thing that I got, or have been getting, is some stuff since I am making this move of all my junk into my little hobbit hole, as my wife calls it. All my Shogun Warriors have been laboriously cleaned up and set up and fixed and stickers reattached and whatever. So I'm getting some supplies to restore some of the accessories that I have for these. So I've been purchasing that.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll get into that later this year.
I think that's a whole episode.
Oh, don't you worry about it, Mr. Man.
In fact, I'm excited about that because I don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to those. I just know that they're beautiful. I'm ready to learn.
Well, I'll school you, son.
Cool.
Imagine you enter the world of the Shogun Warriors. They're on the move.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
I wanted to bring up something that happened during that period of time between our last recording that always frustrates me. And it kind of goes back to that Target, where you were finding stuff. And I'm like, what Target are you going to? You had mentioned that Ross on one of our episodes that's by both of our places of work.
Yes, sir.
I was there at my office one morning picking stuff up at a time when I knew they would be open. I'm like, I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
So I go, I find Dick. Nothing. It's just a mass wall of just crap. And everything's turned sideways like it's a library. Nothing's facing forward. I'm just seeing a bunch of crap. I'm looking, nobody's in there, so it's like I'm not fighting people or having to, but I can't do it. I'm like, this is overwhelming. It's just a bunch of crap. I would have to pull out every box individually. So I probably strolled around for maybe 10 minutes and then I left. And then the next day you're like, oh, do you have this?
We didn't talk about this. I'm sorry you had to experience it for the first time in that way.
Oh, it's not the first time.
Right before the holidays, those stores are insane because they put all the stock out and just pile stuff on top of each other. And it's really hard. When I do go in, I've learned to make sure that I have partitioned enough time to actually sift through the piles of junk because I'll always find something hidden behind something. And when I ran into the Big Bad Wolf, Super 7 Ultimate's Big Bad Wolf in the Ross, it was on a cart that was just full of stuff that they were going to put on the shelf. So it was in this open cart, but it was just stacked full of these boxes of things. I just happened to peek around one and saw it behind something. So,
well, that's not even the figure I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Frankenberry.
Yeah. Well, I got you something from Ross.
You told me. Thanks.
Yeah, it's chaotic, Mark. You got to be in the right headspace for it. You got to prepare yourself.
I'm never in that headspace. That's the thing. And it goes back to like looking in thrift stores when I was in my teens and stuff and never finding anything, and people always finding cool shit. And it's like, I just don't, it's got to like be right there for me to see it. I can't handle it.
Speaking of that, the family and I stopped into a thrift store, the one that's by Michael's on Shaw, the Goodwill, and I found, actually my wife spotted the 10-inch Funko Pop of one of the hitchhiking ghosts from Disneyland, from the Haunted Mansion. There were actually two of them there. One was in like this crazy damaged box, but one was in a practically brand new box. We also spotted this is going to sound funny, but we spotted a Polly Pocket Cinderella Castle playset from 1995. And both of them were like $5 each. It was incredible. Like when you go, and actually I found out that playset's kind of pricey online. So I was really excited to find that. Yeah, sometimes you find nothing and then sometimes you find something. And I think that's part of the agreement we got to make with ourselves when we go into these stores.
Well, I don't agree to that.
You do not adhere to that policy.
Those original Polly Pocket things are interesting.
Yeah.
As well, for me, particularly the boys version of that is really fascinating. Something I had no clue about until recently. Anyway.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't know if we should do this or if we should just get into the point of this episode, which is exploring our history within the show. But we keep talking about reaction stuff, and every time we talk about it, I think about how it all started.
Yeah.
I vaguely remembered the timeline, but I wanted to double check on it. So I did a little bit of searching. For anybody who doesn't know, the reaction line basically started because Super 7 got access to the prototype figures for a proposed 3 3/4 inch Alien line that was supposed to come out, I'm assuming sometime in the 80s, most likely before Aliens came out, but I'm not sure. So there were 5 figures, Ripley, Ash, I believe, Dallas, I think Harry Dean Stan's character, and of course the alien, the Xenomorph. So they got access to that and were going to release them as 3 3/4 inch figures based on
that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started. And so that was announced in the summer of 2012, and there was supposed to be a pre-order that was going to go up that August. I don't know what happened. It didn't pan out that way. So it was like another full year before they actually came out and the pre-order really went into effect. And then they were released at that next year's Comic-Con. Finally, the pre-orders that people made still didn't make it into people's hands until like December of 2013. And most people weren't getting it into the new year, 2014.
It's like the original Kenner Star Wars figures almost.
Yeah, it was almost a year and a half that this was all going on. I vaguely remember following it and going, did those ever come out? No, they haven't come out. And not really gunning to get those. But then almost immediately after that is when they paired up with Funko, and all these lines were announced. Universal Monsters, Modern Horror, Escape from New York, The Rocketeer, Nightmare Before Christmas, and images of those started appearing, and how dopey they were. And this is all the stuff that we ended up finding at Barnes & Noble. And for, you know, I think the original price on them was $9.99, and at Barnes & Noble you could get them for $7.99 or $5.99 a lot of the time.
At times, yeah.
And I believe at that time I had a membership, so I was getting another 10% off of whatever the price was. I have a whole box of those because they were so cheap.
They were.
And I got Big Trouble in Little China. They made a freaking Travis Bickle reaction figure.
Cool. I got some bad ideas in my head.
They're dopey looking for the most part. The Universal Monster ones are okay. A lot of the Modern Horror ones are decent because they're not basing it on a real person.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just dopey as hell looking.
That's part of their charm, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that once Super 7 got the reins back completely, the quality upped immensely.
Yes, it did.
I believe that happened because at that point, Super 7 just didn't have the power to get the license for all this stuff, and Funko basically already had. They didn't have the license to make 3 3/4 inch figures, but they had partnerships with all these licensees already, so they were able to just like flood the market with this crap. I always find that history of it a little bit interesting.
My first introduction to the reaction figures was seeing that you had some, and then finally getting to run into them at Barnes & Noble, and it was an awesome experience. I still have some of those original Funko
I have mine.
Super 7 figures. Like the first run of Gremlins, there's some really great stuff from that original reaction line. It is interesting how it's evolved. And I do think that, the Super 7 reaction Masters of the Universe figures are still some of my favorite figures ever made by them.
Yeah, and I believe at that time is when they had gotten it controlled back completely and were just producing them themselves.
Yep.
I sure wish they were $7.99 still. Anyway.
Me too.
So let's get into this. History of the show. I know that when we started Cambridge Animal Show, we talked about our history, but since the show had just started, there was no real history of the show. I got curious and I was like, when did we start talking about this? So I opened up my messages on this computer here because it's easier to scroll through. And so we started talking about doing this in July of 2022.
Yeah.
That was because Chris Dashew, who runs Weirding Way Media, had offered me a space here. I had been on SoundCloud for, 3 or 4 years already and liked it because I never had ads and I didn't want ads on my show, but I was paying out of pocket for that and this would be free. And I was like, that's fine. I can do ads.
Yeah. If it's free.
Joining a network, that was the only way I would do that. Plus, it's people I knew and liked in the industry.
It's a good network to be a part of.
This means I can have another show because on SoundCloud, I'd have to pay for a whole nother subscription. Either that or just throw episodes on the same thing, which I could have done because I had unlimited uploading on that. That kind of muddies the waters. So this, for me, in my mind, grew out of our semi-weekly Zoom meetings, which became a thing because of the pandemic. We used to do like Friday coffee chats, and of course, what did we talk about?
Stuff.
All this crap.
All the same stuff we're talking about now. And we were like, this is gold. This is pure gold. People are going to love this.
Right, which is bearing out in such volumes of listens.
You have on the outline for today's show a little, what was your goal for the show?
Well, we're not there yet.
But that's actually a good transition because having expectations for something like this can be really dangerous. And I think that you and I have been around long enough to see like, well, if your formula is not authentic and you're just part of the abundance of uninteresting podcasts out there. And I think you and I both, when we first started talking about this, it was like, well, we already have the content here. It's our content, and then therefore it's authentic and matters to us, and that's more important than anything.
I found out, because as we've talked about on the show, those first couple episodes, we talked about multiple items, maybe more briefly. And I started thinking, well, this doesn't go along with my plan for the show because I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about way faster if we do 3 things every episode.
Right.
But also knowing that some of those episodes where we talked about a bunch of stuff, and one in particular, I'm thinking those all could have been their own episode later on.
Yeah.
I mean, which is fine. And you've gone back to stuff, you've talked about Master of the Universe overall and then more specifically. And I think that's fine and all. That sort of taught me like, okay, I'm not going to do a whole Mego episode where I talk about like the whole thing. I'm going to talk about individual figures, maybe the company and blah, 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 blah. So learn to chop it up. Extending even further back, though, in our history, the coffee chats by Zoom because of the pandemic. But, when you moved back, in 2013?
Yeah, late 2012, yeah.
So sometime within a year of that's when we started doing movie days.
Yeah.
Or going to Pamonti's, which we've talked about on the show.
Yeah.
Or Grand Marie's Chicken Pie Shop, which we've talked about on the show. Or both, having breakfast over there and then watching a movie at one of our places.
Mm-hmm.
And then that got harder to do because of work and life and kids. And then it became less frequent, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like, well, no one's going to work, so we can meet via Zoom. At first it was Skype, and then it was Zoom, and that gave birth to this because this is what we talk about a lot. And it was like, hey, start making a list of your childhood obsessions. We went back and forth over the name. Do you remember any of the names?
No. I know that we threw around a lot of names. I can't remember any off the top of my head now.
Well, my first thought was, and this goes back to Weirding Way Media, because when Chris proposed, a network, he was trying to come up with a name. And I said, well, I always look at like a specific thing and pull something even more specific out of that. And I knew that he and Mike both liked the David Lynch Dune, which I like too, which we'll talk about eventually. So I said, pick something out of there, like Weirding Way or this, a couple different Kwisatz Haderach, which would be a mouthful, but and Weirding Way hit immediately with him. And
it's perfect.
Hey, man, that was my idea. So there you go.
This is part of the Weirding Way that we will teach you.
It took us a while to get to Cambridge and Washawn. I do remember that.
Yeah, we tossed around David Lynch stuff, Lapel's Factory.
I remember that now.
You had The Big Fish or The Big Dream, I think. I know I noted I want it to be Fresno-centric, and so that's when we started tossing around street names, places. I think you did like Broadway and Van Ness as a suggestion, and then I said Sunnyside, and that was more particular to me. I think you said Wilson and Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I came back with Cambridge and Washawn.
Which makes more sense.
Because it sounds better. It may not be the way the street sign's set up for those of you that see it all the time in your feed, but it's not Garfunkel and Simon. That doesn't sound
doesn't
right.
work.
It's Simon and Garfunkel. Some things just work better as a phrase. And so that was it. After that, that was it.
It was unanimous between us. We were like, as soon as that popped into the conversation, it's like, duh, of course. Like, and that's the way naming something should be. And that's why Chris really attached himself to Weirding Way when you said that, because you just know it's right when you hear it. And if you force something, that's different and usually doesn't work out.
It works on multiple levels, which we've talked about, us both living in that same place on that corner. And it's just good. They're good words. Cambridge and Washawn are good words. And together, it's a beautiful phrase.
I've been mother, father, aunt, and uncle, been Roy, Hallett, and Art Garfunkel. I just discovered somebody's tapped my phone. Folk rock. I've lost my harmonica, Albert.
The segue you were mentioning, what was your goal for the show as far as content, as far as duration? What's your goal for Cambridge and Washon?
You and I were on the same page with this in that it should just be the things we talk about. I also thought, and we haven't done as much of this lately just because it's harder to identify content like this to talk about, but the idea of talking about our local locales segment, we do a little bit less of that now, but it will still always pop up because, for instance, I just thought of something that we should probably discuss down the line. For me, at least, I definitely want to capture the conversations that Mark and I have, number one, and we will always talk about our interests in local locales anyways, because that's what we already do, period. Because we both have a significant interest in those personal histories and the way parts of Fresno have evolved or not evolved. I feel like, at least from my perspective, we've maintained that approach quite well. These conversations still feel authentic to the same exact conversations you and I would have sitting there watching a movie.
The local locales don't appear on every episode.
They're still there.
It's not that they're going away or anything.
Exactly.
I've got a huge list of local locales.
Yeah, me too.
My thought was, this is still my goal, is to go 5 years.
Yeah.
I think we can make 5 years.
Oh, easily.
There are some recent obsessions that I have that I'm going to explore at some point. Some stuff that I find myself zoning out on YouTube. Things that involve items that I really have zero interest in, but the things that the people are doing with them is fascinating, and it involves craft, and it involves art, and it involves science in some ways. This will all make sense when I get to it, but really interesting stuff. A toy polloi is a part of that idea,
for sure.
To give a general idea of restoration of things.
Mm-hmm.
Other than toy polloi, some of the ones that I've stumbled on are again, stuff that I had zero interest in as a kid and really still don't have an interest in collecting. But watching what these people do with them is fascinating to me. And I am losing hours and hours and hours of time to watching these videos.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
I would call that an obsession.
Definitely. And, you know, you've given me a hard time about this before.
I don't give you a hard time about anything, Ronald. How dare you?
It's easy to do. The fact that YouTube is a place where we can find the documentaries made by individuals about the weird things, like we haven't even talked about that, how I want to see a documentary on Fisher-Price Little People, and there are many documentaries that are popping up all the time in the YouTube verse.
I think maybe the term documentary might be stretched a little loose here.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You are going to find plenty of people talk about the history of Fisher-Price Little People.
Yeah.
I just watched one about Shogun Warriors, and there are multiple. You know, these are just some guy. It's not a documentary, though. It's
research.
It's a history of by some guy that kind of knows some stuff about it. It's what Toy Ventures, Plaid Stallions does.
For sure. Love it.
It's the same thing. If you want to call those documentaries, then there might be a documentary about plastic rock balls in the future. And it might be made by me. I don't know.
I think it will be. And they're they're more like docu-minis, right? Because they're just like these little short episodes of chunks of really fun, exciting information that people like you and me just get giddy over.
Yeah. And if you're using it in that way, then anything that you've mentioned is a possibility because some nutbag will get on YouTube and talk about whatever.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like Michael Moore going deep into whatever documentaries you've dreamed of in the past.
That would be amazing.
Choose a topic.
Michael Moore's Little People. That would be fantastic.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What has changed since the first episode to now? What do you see as having changed?
Just from my perspective, I'm a little more relaxed. It's taken me a while. I mean, I've been doing the YouTube thing for a while. I feel like I'm just now hitting a stride where I feel like I can in the last 2 years, I feel like I've talking to you with a microphone in front of my face had always been for me, the idea of it, very intimidating. The idea of being authentic in front of a microphone is harder than it looks, especially for me, who's like in my head all the time and fucking this up and, you know, whatever.
Well, I'll let you know when you're fucking things up.
Oh, you certainly will. You're helping me get better. This is called constructive critique.
I've been so mean to Ronnie on the last 4 episodes. I don't know what's going on. I have this built-up antagonism, and I think it's because of the election, so we'll blame it on that.
So you got to blame me, because I definitely voted in the opposite way that you did.
Oh, I'm sure.
No. Good thing we're on the same page in regard to that.
We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we weren't. So anyway,
well, I mean, so at least from my perspective, it's gotten more fun. If anything, it's become more fun. And with the banter, folks, if you've been listening to this show since we started, or even you're just jumping in, you know this is a Bert and Ernie relationship. That's just how it is. And that's how Mark and I have always been. So there's nothing new in this scenario. Our relationship goes back a long time, and it's always kind of been this way. And I think that's what makes it fun.
Other than the latent homosexuality.
That's always been there, too.
Yeah, okay. For me, and we've talked about this, and I already mentioned it on this episode, you know, whittling down the topic count for episodes. My thought for this was, I need this to be different than Wake Up Heavy, because otherwise it's going to become too much. So those first 2 or 3 episodes, there were no clips.
Right.
We were using the IG-88 music as an inch, so it had its own kind of thing. And not to say that I won't use IG-88 music, but I've been using stuff that's maybe more related to what we talk about on the episode.
I like it with the clips, by the way. I like the clips being included lately.
At some point, I was like, I got to use a clip for this, you know, if we're talking about a movie or a thing. And I could have used clips on the first couple of episodes, but I just wasn't going to do that because it is work to find those and deal with them and record them and put them in the episode. Anyway, I was making it a little simpler for myself, but I love putting clips in. If it annoys people, I'm sorry. You know, as a punchline or to reiterate something we've said, I like doing it. It's fun to me, and
I love it.
I am going to, trust me, I'm going to make this amusing for myself as I'm spending hours editing things and putting it together and mastering and blah, blah, blah. If it ain't fun for me, I'm not going to do it. If it ain't fun for you, I don't know what to tell you.
It's definitely fun for me. And it's also fun for me to listen back on the episodes too. It's exciting to see, what did Mark do in the editing process? And you're really good at editing, appropriately timing things to pop up or music in the background. And it's always fun. There's another question down the line that we'll get to, but I feel like the episodes are getting better as we go, which is the way it should be with any craft.
Quality-wise, because we had some recording issues at the beginning, which got sorted out eventually. So that changed as well, and I discovered something that I was doing that was messing stuff up, and we fixed your internet issue, and so the structure has changed a little bit. You know, we added the local locales. I've introduced the personal lore part, so we'll keep adding stuff. Haven't really talked about childhood treats yet, but that's on my list, and I have a whole thing of that'll come up at the end of episodes. We may do stuff like this. We may do holiday episodes. We may do singular episodes like the David Lynch stuff that we'll get back into this year. Theme episodes we've done already, and it'll evolve and morph. I think the basic idea will be an obsession of one sort or another. That most likely won't change.
I have 2 words for you.
Gunga Din.
Charleston Chew.
Hey, America, how many chews in a Charleston Chew?
You mentioned that before. When I said treats. You got a one-track mind, my friend.
Pink popcorn.
Ew, no.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No. But that's going to be, sorry, I'm already planning on a whole thing on the pink popcorn.
Oh, God. You can have it.
Oh, yes, I would take it.
Okay. Enjoy. Your nasty ass pink popcorn that tastes like packaging peanuts.
Love it. Love it.
Hey, America, how many chews in a Charleston chew?
I've been getting 95 highway, 90 city.
109 is frequently my frequency.
Rich, thick nougat and a delicious chocolatey coating make Charleston Chew chewy, but not too chewy. How many chews do you get?
187.
98.6 is normal for me.
America counts on Charleston Chew.
367.
Nabisco.
All right, on to the next question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite episode that we have recorded so far? And you have to pick one. Damn it.
I did. I picked one, even though it was really hard, though, because going through our roster, even though we're always taking the same approach, each episode has its like moments. But number one of my favorite episode is Anomalous Aesthetics. So I feel like we start to get, and then the next one after that was, of course, the Dark Side of Collecting. We were getting a little deep. That was like our deep period of two episodes piggybacking off of one another, where we were getting a little more philosophical and deep. And that conversation was fun. So that's like my first favorite. I've actually listened to that 3 times.
Wow.
My next favorite, though, is the one right below that, because I feel like Dark Side of Collecting and Anomalous Aesthetics exist on the same plane. But underneath that is the Eraserhead episode, Oh, You Are Sick. I've only listened to that one twice, but the second time I listened to it, I was like, we got to do another David Lynch episode.
We are.
Sometime in 2025. And
Yeah.
I know we are, but those are my 2 favorites.
Let me propose this to you while we're
Yes.
talking about it. I think we should do it the same month every year. So that was a July episode. So let's just plan it. It makes it easier to have a plan in mind.
Absolutely.
And that was the thing that came to my mind. Look for that in July. We'll talk about the next David Lynch era.
Yeah. How about you? What's your favorite episode?
My favorite episode is, oh crap, I forgot the title of it. Why didn't I write it down?
Oh, why didn't you write it on the list, Mark?
I thought I did, actually. I'm looking down there and I don't see it because I know I looked it up.
I don't believe you.
My favorite episode is episode 6, Big Boy versus Bibendum. I said Bibendum correctly this time.
That's a good one, too. Oh, and you just sent me that image of mini Bibendums, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, that vintage, blow mold. I don't know what they were.
Vintage blow molds Bibendum. Please say that 10 times fast.
The reason is because that shook loose the whole plastic rock ball scenario.
Yeah.
To me, that's just a funny thing, something that I had looked for 40 years or thought about for 40 years, looked for 15, that got shook loose because of that, thanks to Jeff Lamb.
Yeah.
What has transpired since then, they're on my desk. I'm looking at them right now. I just lost out on I wasn't pursuing this wholeheartedly, but apparently there have been 3 auctions for the gray version. 2 of them have been from the same seller, so there's obviously another person who has a stash of these. So I stumbled across it. It was at a real low starting price, and I just kind of played along with it. It ended up going for like $21.50. I stopped bidding at a certain point and just let it ride out. I may have been able to win that one. Apparently one from the same seller sold for $10.50.
Oh,
a couple weeks ago. And then another one from another seller for $20. This same seller has a blue one up right now as an auction with a starting bid of $9.99. So I'm going to follow it and see. And I am going to follow this seller. And if he puts a brown one up, I am going to fight for it.
Yeah, fight for that. Fight for that brown ball.
Yeah. And we'll see. We'll see. If I could have gotten another gray one for $10.50, I would have been super happy.
If you're listening to this show on a regular basis, you can basically count on the rock balls popping up either once an episode or once every other episode. It's a guarantee. Like Masters of the Universe for me. What's your least favorite episode, Mark?
My least favorite episode, and I didn't really think about this because I sort of said it in jest and didn't necessarily pick one. Oh no, I did think of one the other day, and I think it was just because, I know what it was. I thought of it this morning. My least favorite episode, and it's only my least favorite episode because of the circumstances of the recording, is the one Plastic Rock Ball episode, the bonus episode, because we had to record it twice. And that was
so funny because I was going to say the same thing, because that episode feels like for some reason it carries an energy, maybe just because we know. Right. Maybe it's not the same for people who are listening to it, but it felt to me like, it will always feel to me like, oh, this is the same conversation again.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that other people wouldn't have that energy from it, but that's my same exact answer.
Yeah, they wouldn't have that energy, but it very well could be a lot of people's least favorite episode. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This guy is talking about this for half an hour?
The rock balls are what keeps people coming back, Mark.
I just noticed you can see a couple of my Spider-Men down here.
Oh, yeah, there. There's the one on the card back.
Yeah, there's the one on the card. Let's talk about the future of the show. And I mean this in a specific way. What are some of the things that you plan on talking about? Let's just say this year, but if we don't get to them, don't hold us to it, audience or each other. But what are some specific things you plan on talking about?
Well, the specific things align in part with my collecting goals. You and I have a similar appreciation for some of the same kinds of movies. So there are a lot of films that you and I could talk about that have significant nostalgic value for me that are on my list.
Be specific.
I know what? Oh, be specific.
Yeah, be specific. We don't need to hold our interests under a protective blanket. Let the world know.
The reason I'm not being specific with that is because I know you and I have a lot to say about Dune, and I really want to have that conversation.
We're going to talk about that on the David Lynch, the second David Lynch episode.
July. We established that.
Yeah, so what's wrong with saying it out loud?
Not being specific, you know what I mean?
Hey, be fucking specific, dude.
There's a thing that just made it to my collecting list that I definitely want to talk about that I maybe have mentioned early on, and that is the Fisher-Price Castle playset that came with a little pink dragon and a few other cool accessories. It's from 1974, same year. What a good year for Fisher-Price playsets.
I'm going to have to look it up after this because I don't have as good a visual memory of that, but I do. Yeah.
Actually, it's been hovering in my brain for a very, very long time. I'm surprised that I haven't talked about it because Sesame Street playset, of course, was like epic for me as a kid. But this other one I played with more because my step siblings had one. And every time I'd visit my dad, I would play with this thing. It was really important to me. So eventually down the line, I think it's going to happen this year. We'll be talking about that. And I'm continuing my vintage Star Wars journey, and so there will be some aspects of vintage Star Wars toys that I'd like to talk about too. The Ewok playset being one of them, because I love the Ewok Village playset. Anyways, how about you?
Next episode, our March episode, I guess, will be on one of two things, and I thought it was going to be about Mego, some aspect, and I know which aspect. Most likely Planet of the Apes first.
Yeah.
Mego presents the Planet of the Apes action figures. Dr. Zaius, the orangutan scientist. Cornelius, the archaeologist.
Because of this whole Marvel Mego thing, that got me thinking about stuff, and also, again, going through my figures and other items that are sort of stored away in the other room that are going to get moved in here, and hopefully some of them displayed in here. So that came to mind. I pulled out the Fantastic World's Greatest Superheroes book that I got years ago that goes over that whole aspect of Mego, the DC and Marvel figures and accessories and vehicles that they released. Great book, sadly out of print. Or because, again, of this move, the Shogun Warriors.
Yeah, it's got to happen.
It's one of those two. This stuff was so dusty. I was looking at it just going, oh man, this is going to be a nightmare. But they cleaned up really easily. Part of that has to do with the material that they're made out of. That was fun, and it got me really excited about them again and holding them and just their scale. And so it'll be one of those two, just kind of depending on what's pushing those buttons the hardest at that point. But Mego, it's the third season. Talked about Mego a lot. Haven't done an episode on him yet. It's going to be kind of a series for me.
Necessary.
Different lines and different figures within the line. I'm going to do singular focus on quite a few of them.
I like that. I just recently added Roding Park to my locale as a goal to talk about.
I thought you already had.
No, I haven't talked about the things in the park, like the army tank and the train engine, and I don't think I've talked about Playland.
You might want to go through the descriptions of the episodes, because this is all ringing very familiar to me.
I don't think maybe we talked about Storyland, but I don't think I've talked about, I don't know, I'll have to look back.
You talked about Storyland.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
That's what it was. There are aspects of Roding Park that I know I haven't talked about yet that I'm kind of excited to talk about at some point.
Let me look at my local locales and give a hint what I've got on here. Some of these are very particular to my childhood in and around Sunnyside. The library, which I've mentioned numerous times, but I haven't talked about specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Bakeman Field, where I played Little League. Something that we've both mentioned, the Discovery Center. Maybe we'll have to team up on that one. Fashion Fair is a big one.
Oh, that's a good one. Manchester. Sometime we got to talk about our epic time working at Walden Books in Manchester Center.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. Yeah, and then I've got a couple of movies that had the same lost and forgotten aspect as Plastic Rock Ball, and that Ghosts, DC Ghosts comic book follow the same sort of trajectory.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
For me, of what was this, and stumbling on it. So those are all on my list.
Something Wicked This Way Comes. I've been thinking a lot about that movie lately. The dark era of Disney films, I think I'm going to jump into this year.
Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes is coming closer.
So speaking of Super 7,
yeah,
I sent you something on Instagram. I don't know if you've checked your Facebook. We both got tagged by a listener, Jason Jeffers. Apparently Super 7 is bringing back Micronauts.
That's pretty cool.
I'm curious to see how it doesn't say reaction figures on there. So I don't know if they're doing them the way they used to be done, or if it'll be something totally different.
I have it. In fact, as we were talking today, I got the text message from Super 7. This is Baron Karza.
Oh, that's
so
a
their reaction.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I'm a little less excited about it now then.
I think so. It'll be nice to see what they look like. I mean, this is pretty cool, but they're not going to have the same feel as Micronauts because they're going to be reaction figures. Sometimes reaction works, but sometimes it doesn't. Like, I've seen the Transformers reaction figures. They're, non-transforming Transformers.
Right.
And they just don't call out to me at all.
Yeah. I was going to say that I had seen their recent posts about Silverhawks, and they're promoting that they're VAC metal.
Mm-hmm.
So then this news came out, and I was like, oh, okay, so they're exploring Vac Metal now, which, all these heads were on the little Micronauts figures. And so now we're finding out real time. Baron Karza was one of the ones that wasn't really a Micronaut, or wasn't a Microman figure, for one thing, and was the magnetic kind, and it was a larger scale. That Biotron that you just showed me was a huge figure. It was like this tall, could fit little Micronauts in it, had interchangeable parts and all that stuff. So having a 3 3/4 inch figure of that is kind of anticlimactic to me. Let's put it that way.
I will say that Biotron's head looks to me like it's the only aspect of this that will be Vac Metal.
Mm-hmm.
His head.
Which is true to the figure, but the scale is absolutely not.
Yeah. It's hit or miss with the reaction.
Okay, so not as excited as I would have been.
Wah, wah. What that means, though, Mark, and this happens sometimes when Super 7 gets the license for something, they do Ultimates, and there very well could be Ultimates versions of these characters, of Micronauts characters, that might be really cool.
I don't care for their Ultimates figures.
Yeah, it depends on the character.
I mean, in general, I haven't seen one that I've been interested in getting at all.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those are akin to the NECA 7-inch figures.
Right, they just don't get you excited.
Nothing about that appeals to me. The other thing that kind of came up that related to an old episode, the Ad Icon episode, actually, were those Cause figures that I sent you. The vinyl versions of the Serial Monster figures. And I hadn't even been aware that they had come out, but they were from this year, so not back when the little promotional things came out, which you can purchase for $1,850.
A mere $1,800.
And they are, again, direct copies of the original vinyl figures of those four. If you put them side by side, they're the same thing. It's just with the cosification, the skull and crossbones, or the crossed out eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that works out to what? $1,850 divided by 4 is $462.50 a figure. They're roughly 12 inches, I think.
Yeah.
A 12-inch vinyl figure normally would go for $200 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the artist, depending on the subject matter. In general, vinyl stuff is like $10 an inch, basically. Yeah. If you buy a 2-inch figure, you're looking at $20. If you buy a 5-inch figure, you're looking at $50. Because these things are produced, again, in small quantities.
Right.
In factories in Japan and blah, blah, blah. They are amazing. I'd actually love a set. You can buy them either could or can buy them individually. You can find them on eBay individually, but they're all for that 400 and something or more.
Yeah, you're paying, when you buy something like that, you're paying for the artist's hand, essentially,
especially with him. His stuff is so ridiculously priced, it's not even funny. And that's fine. I mean, whatever.
Yep.
I'd love a set of those. They're gorgeous.
Start playing the lottery.
The packaging, of course, is great, and it just made me laugh.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Beautiful, expensive, beautiful things.
Yeah. And I've looked at the originals, all of the originals, Boo Berry, Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Fruit Brute, all of them in the past when I've, been looking at Poppin' Fresh and Little Sprout and all those ad icons that came out. I mean, they're almost all of the serial icons had vinyl figures like that. I don't think they were 12 inches. They were more like 5 to 7 inches. But, I've got a Trix Rabbit in my collection, some other things. So it's appealing to me in that regard as well. And may just try and track down even the vintage ones, though, have gotten ridiculous in price. So not $462, but
right, they're going to be more affordable. And so that brings up an interesting thing, and we've talked about it a little bit, and that is like, do I want the newer version of this thing that I have an appreciation for in vintage form, or do I just want to try and get the vintage one?
Well, in this case, particular to there's no way I'd get the cost there's no comparison, I'd always go for the vintage.
Right.
Based on price alone.
Well, yeah, of course. That makes sense.
I know that Count Chocula, at least, was released maybe in the 90s in the same form. And in that case, it would be more of what's affordable.
Right.
I can't... You brought that up at one point about, well, which one do I get? And a lot of times for me, it's based on price solely.
Yeah.
If I can get the newer version for $20 over a vintage version they're almost identical.
Yeah.
For $50, I'm going for the original. I mean, for the newer one, the cheaper one.
Especially if they look fine on the shelf together. It makes sense to me. Like, I have no problem. Some people have problems with this, but I have no problem putting the retro collection figures back here right next to the vintage figures because they actually look fine next to one another.
It's your collection. Do whatever the fuck you want with it.
That's right. That's right. Amen.
And mind your own business if you've got a problem with it. Because you can do what you want with your collection. I'll do what I want with mine.
Remember that, folks.
So let's end on that note.
Yeah.
Of telling people what to do. And how to behave.
Remember, folks, behave.
Add that to our outro.
Yeah.
Next time, you'll be talking about Masters of the Universe, and I'll be talking about either Mego or Shogun Warriors.
Or plastic rock balls.
Yay! Hey, if I get that brown one, I'm record a solo 2-hour-long episode by myself talking about it.
Please let me be part of that.
No.
Okay, folks. Well, until we meet again, have fun, stay weird, and keep collecting.
And behave.
That's right. You heard it here.
I got some bad ideas in my head. I just...
Oh, we are the Freakies, and this is our Freaky Stream. We never miss a meal, because we love our cereals. This is the big boss, we call him Boss Moss. Make sure you spell it right.
Snorkel doth they call me, so handsome and pretty.
He's little hand-hosed.
He's got a weird nose.
Do I really have to sing?
My name is Grumble.
I am Kamumble.
You're standing on my foot.
Gargold is his name.
This is my game. I know more than you do.
Says you. And don't forget me, I'm goody-goody. I always do what's right. For instance, I eat Freaky cereal because it's got a lot of vitamins, and it's good for me.
You too can have crunchy, freaky cereal as part of your good breakfast. There's a free freaky and specially marked boxes. Okay, who's the big fish?
We are the Freakies. We are the Freakies.
Cambridge and Rashawn is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.